Ladies and gentlemen, if you're over 60 and have started to feel your legs aren't as strong as they used to beg, this message is for you. Muscle loss, especially in the legs, isn't just frustrating. It affects your balance, your confidence, and your independence. But here's the truth the mainstream doesn't emphasize enough. Leg strength loss is not inevitable. It's reversible, and it can begin to change in as little as 12 hours. Today, I want to talk about one specific food that has been scientifically shown to reactivate muscle building pathways, stimulate your neuromuscular coordination. How do we help restore leg strength fast? It's not a supplement, a drug. It's a natural whole food that's rich in a critical muscle signaling amino acid called leucine. When you eat this food early in the day, ideally within 60 minutes awake, you tap into a biological window where your nervous system, muscles, and metabolism are all primed to respond. Here's how it works. Your brain and your muscles are in constant conversation, but as we age, that conversation weakens unless we give it the right fuel. When we consume a high leucine, high-quality protein, the mTOR pathway in our body gets switched on. This is the cellular command that says build and repair muscle now. And the legs, being the largest muscle group in the body, respond the fastest. Now, the food, it's eggs, but not just any eggs. We're talking pasture-raised eggs packed with complete proteins, bioavailable leucine, and healthy fats that aid in hormone balance and neurotransmitter activity. Each egg delivers about 6 grams of protein and a powerful amino acid profile. And just 223 eggs in the morning can send enough leucine into your bloodstream to trigger muscle synthesis within hours. In fact, studies have shown that older adults who consume high leucine proteins in the morning experience measurable improvements in leg strength, gait speed, and muscle activation within 12 hours. And even more significantly, within the first 7 days. How do we, and here's the kicker, this one change. Eating pasture-raised eggs in the morning doesn't just feed your muscles. It feeds your brain. The choline in the yolk supports your nervous system. The fats help regulate your hormones. And the protein sends the signal to rebuild. If you're feeling weak in your legs, unsteady, or just not as fast as you used to be, don't assume it's just aging. Assume it's missing input, nutritional input. So tomorrow morning, make it a non-negotiable. 103 pasture-raised eggs. Cook them however you like, but make them your first act of strength because the science is clear. Feed your legs the right signal and they will respond. In 12 hours, you'll begin to feel the difference. In 7 days, you'll move differently. In 30 days, you may just feel decades younger. Let food be your fuel. Let science be your guide, and let your legs carry you into the next strong, steady chapter of your life. Leg strength loss is not inevitable. It's reversible. And this is not just motivational talk. It's grounded in hard biological evidence. While traditional thinking once attributed age-related muscle line to simple wear and tear or the ticking of the biological clock, emerging research in neurobiology and muscle physiology shows that muscle fibers, even in older adults, retain the capacity for adaptation and regrowth when provided with the right molecular signals. One of the primary drivers of muscle loss in seniors isn't aging itself, but rather a combination of inactivity, inadequate protein intake, circadian misalignment, and reduced neuromuscular signaling. When seniors stop challenging their lower body muscles with resistance, and when daily protein falls below anabolic thresholds, motor units begin to disconnect. Not because they must, but because they aren't being to stay active. This makes the loss of strength appear automatic when in fact it's a response to chronic understimulation. However, the human neuromuscular system is incredibly responsive, even after decades of disuse, with targeted nutrition, especially protein sources rich in leucine paired with low-impact leg stimulation, like walking, step-ups, or resistance bands. The body can quickly begin to re-establish neuromuscular pathways. Satellite cells surrounding the muscle fibers, which go dormant with inactivity, can be reawakened and stimulated to proliferate and fuse with muscle fibers, effectively in strengthening them. On top of that, hormonal inputs such as IGF-1 and testosterone, which may dip with age, can be naturally boosted through the right fueling strategies, early morning sunlight and physical engagement, which together further support anabolic processes and the regeneration of strength in the legs. Nutrients trigger neuromuscular reconnection within hours, and this rapid response is driven by a cascade of biochemical events that unfold the moment specific compounds enter the bloodstream. Contrary to outdated beliefs that rebuilding strength takes weeks or months effort before any measurable benefit appears, recent advancements in neurobiology and nutritional science demonstrate that even a single dose of targeted nutrients can initiate immediate physiological changes. especially in older adults whose systems are highly responsive once deprived pathways are reactivated. The neuromuscular system, which governs the communication between the brain, spinal cord, and muscles, relies heavily on the availability of amino acids, B vitamins, electrolytes, and cofactors to maintain signal fidelity and muscular responsiveness. When these nutrients, particularly leucine, acetylcholine precursors like choline, and magnesium, are consumed, they support the repair of synaptic junctions, enhance neurotransmitter release, and improve the sensitivity of motor neurons to central commands. Muscle tissue, especially in the legs, contains high densities of motor units that respond to these inputs, and studies show that nutrient intake can amplify motor unit recruitment within hours by increasing intracellular calcium availability, ATP production, and neuromuscular junction efficiency. Furthermore, mitochondrial activity within muscle cells accelerates in response to fuel intake, creating more energy to sustain contraction and stabilize movement patterns. This is especially critical in seniors, where even mild improvements in neuromuscular signaling can lead to enhanced gait, posture, and balance. Specific compounds like creatine, omega-3 fatty acids, and certain peptides found in whole protein sources actively contribute to the repair of damaged axons and the regrowth of dendritic branches in the motor cortex, allowing the brain to rapidly refine control over the limbs. Nutritional interventions, when timed correctly, such as early morning consumption during peak dopamine and cortisol rhythms, optimize the body's readiness to convert these inputs into coordinated movement and strength restoration. Leucine signals muscle protein synthesis like a switch, acting as the primary trigger in a highly sensitive biological system that determines whether the body shifts into an anabolic muscle-building state or remains in a catabolic muscle-wasting mode. Unlike other amino acids, leucine possesses a unique ability to directivate the mechanistic target of rapamycin complex 1-mTRC1, a central regulatory node that governs muscle growth, repair, and cellular regeneration. This process doesn't depend solely on the quantity of protein consumed, but rather on reaching the threshold of leucine concentration in the bloodstream that is required to flip this metabolic switch. Once that leucine threshold is met, typically around 2.5 to 3 grams in a single meal for older adults, a signal is sent to muscle cells that initiates a chain reaction. mTORC1 becomes activated, ribosomal protein synthesis accelerates, and muscle tissue begins repairing itself and laying down new contractile proteins. This is especially crucial for seniors whose muscle cells become more resistant to anabolic stimuli with age, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. Overcoming this resistance requires not just consuming more protein overall, but strategically front-loading leucine-rich foods such as eggs, white or lean meats during the first meal of the day when the body is most insulin sensitive and hormonally primed for nutrient uptake. In addition to initiating protein synthesis, leucine also acts as a signaling molecule that influences the expression of genes involved in muscle hypertrophy, supports the regeneration of satellite cells and DUI, and improves mitochondrial function in muscle fibers, all essential processes for restoring strength and functionality. Its rapid absorption and high bioavailability make it uniquely suited for fast neuromuscular recovery, especially when consumed post-fasting or after prolonged periods of inactivity. The gut-brain-muscle axis is a real, rapid-acting system that operates through an intricate network of biochemical messengers, sensory neurons, immune pathways, and hormonal circuits that respond to nutrient input almost immediately after ingestion. When a specific food is consumed, especially one rich in essential amino acids, prebiotics, or key micronutrients, it doesn't just fuel digestion or muscle energy, it sends a signal from the gut lining to the central nervous system, which in turn modulates muscular readiness, contractility, and recovery potential. This axis is particularly influential in older adults. Permeability, microbial diversity, and vagal tone often decline with age, impairing the ability to coordinate systemic responses to food. However, when the right foods are introduced, like whole proteins, fermented compounds, or fiber-rich vegetables, gut receptors activate the enteric nervous system, which then communicates via the vagus nerve to regions in the brain responsible for motor control, hormonal release, and inflammation modulation. This immediate gut-brain communication helps regulate dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine output, all of which directly influence motivation to move, coordination, and neuromuscular activation. Furthermore, signals from the gut prompt the release of myokines and cytokines that influence muscle adaptation, regeneration, and glucose uptake. The rapid nature of this communication means that a single nutrient-dense meal can improve muscle firing patterns, reduce perception of fatigue, and even shift mood and focus, all of which create a positive feedback loop for movement and strength. The presence of short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, produced when gut microbes ferment fiber, further enhances this axis by crossing the blood-brain barrier and promoting neuroplasticity, which sharpens motor learning and improves balance. On the muscular side, gut-derived signals influence insulin sensitivity and growth factor response, amplifying the anabolic effect protein-rich meals and making each bite of food not just nourishment, but a message that resonates through the nervous system and lands in the muscle tissue as increased strength, energy, and resilience. Eating timing is as powerful as the food itself because the human body operates on tightly regulated circadian rhythms that control hormone release, metabolic activity, digestive enzyme production, and neuromuscular efficiency, all of which fluctuate dramatically depending on the time of day nutrients are introduced. In older adults, these rhythms become even more sensitive to environmental cues like light exposure, activity levels, and especially the timing of food intake. Consuming the right nutrients during biologically aligned windows, particularly in the early morning, can dramatically enhance the body's ability to absorb, utilize, and respond to those nutrients. For example, muscle protein synthesis is more robust when high-quality protein is ingested shortly after waking, a period when cortisol and dopamine levels are naturally elevated and the body is primed to shift into an active anabolic state. This early window capitalizes on enhanced insulin sensitivity, meaning that amino acids and glucose are more efficiently shuttled into muscle cells, and mitochondrial energy production is more responsive to incoming fuel. Conversely, delaying nutrient intake, especially protein, beyond these windows can blunt muscle building signals, reduce hormonal synchronization, and increase the likelihood of muscle catabolism throughout the day. This concept is further supported by time-restricted feeding studies, which show that even when the total number of calories and nutrients remains the same, shifting meal timing to align with circadian biology results in better muscle retention, improved glucose control, and enhanced physical performance. Timing also influences the expression of clock genes within skeletal muscle, which are responsible for regulating repair, growth, and inflammation control. By eating when the body expects nourishment, ideally within 30 to 60 minutes of waking, you activate pathways that not only optimize digestion and absorption, but also trigger neuromuscular pathways essential for leg strength, balance, and coordination. These effects are magnified in the presence of consistent daily rhythms, meaning that eating protein-rich meals at the same time each morning entrains the brain-muscle axis to expect and utilize the input more efficiently with each passing day. One food, many actions. Protein-rich eggs trigger the cascade by delivering a concentrated source of biologic complete nutrition that communicates directly with muscle tissue, the nervous system, hormone regulators, and even gene expression systems to initiate a series of interconnected responses essential for restoring strength and function in aging bodies. Eggs are unique potent because they offer all 9 essential amino acids in ideal ratios, including a high concentration of leucine, which is crucial for triggering muscle protein synthesis through activation of the mTOR pathway. But the influence of eggs extends far beyond muscle. The choline found in egg yolks is a key precursor to acetylcholine, the primary neurotransmitter involved in motor unit recruitment and muscle contraction, directly enhancing neuromuscular control, balance, and coordination. Additionally, eggs contain healthy fats that support hormone synthesis, including testosterone and DHEA, which contribute to muscle maintenance, energy levels, and resilience. The vitamins in eggs, especially B12 DNA, support mitochondrial function and red blood cell production, which are vital for endurance, oxygen delivery, and fatigue resistance during leg movements. The presence of antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin further supports the brain and visual system, both of which are essential in preventing falls and improving gait confidence. From the moment they are consumed, the nutrients in eggs are absorbed quickly, with amino acids entering the bloodstream within 30 to 60 minutes, providing a rapid anabolic stimulus especially effective when consumed in the morning. This early signal sets off a metabolic chain reaction and increased insulin sensitivity, boosted dopamine production, and activation of muscle satellite cells that assist with tissue repair. Furthermore, their high satiety index helps regulate appetite hormones like ghrelin and leptin, reducing the likelihood of over later in the day while maintaining consistent energy availability. Because eggs are highly versatile, they can be seamlessly incorporated into various morning routines, ensuring that older adults can easily and affordably access this regenerative fuel source without complicated preparations or expensive supplementation, making them one of the most efficient, scientifically validated and neurologically active foods available for reversing leg weakness and restoring mobility with measurable effects in both the short and long term.